You're on your phone right now, scrolling. A skull pops up on your screen. Not a virus, not a joke, just 5 words. You are going to die. And for some reason, you put the phone down, you look up, you notice the light in the room. The sound of someone you love in the next room. For 3 seconds, the world gets sharp. Then it fades. You go back to scrolling. But what if you didn't let it fade? What if that small, dark reminder was the one thing that could make you calmer, more focused, and more grateful than any app, any habit hack, any self-help book you've ever tried? It sounds backwards. Thinking about death to feel happier, like pressing on a bruise to heal it. But the Stoics built an entire way of life around this idea. And modern research says they were right. People who practice short, daily death reminders report feeling less anxious. They finish more tasks. They forgive faster. They waste less time on things that don't matter, not because death scared them into action, because it cleared the fog. By the end of this, you'll know how to use that fog-clearing trick. And you'll know why a Roman general needed a servant to whisper in his ear at the peak of his glory. But first, let's talk about what happens inside your brain when death crosses your mind. You're sitting at your desk. 20 tabs open, Slack pinging, a to-do list that bred overnight. Your brain is trying to hold all of it. Every task feels urgent. Every task feels equal, so you do none of them well. You bounce from tab to tab like a pinball, and by 5 o'clock, you can't name one thing you're proud of. Now imagine something cuts through that noise. Not a new app, not a planner, just a thought, a simple, cold fact. This day will end, and so will all your days. What shifts? Your brain does something strange. It stops treating every tab as equal. It runs a quiet filter. Which of these things would matter if you had very little time left? And in that moment, a few tasks glow brighter than the rest. The others fade. Not gone, just quiet. Your mind narrows. You focus. This is what happens when people are reminded of their own death. In studies, people given a brief nudge about their own end scored much higher on scales that measure thanks. They didn't become sad. They became clear. The reminder acted like a lens, pulling the blur into focus. But here's what most people get wrong. They hear and think about death and picture a dark spiral. Hours of dread, panic attacks in the shower. That's not what this is. The Stoics had a practice for it. Picturing bad things before they happen. You sit down. You picture losing something you love. Not to torture yourself, to prepare, to loosen the grip that fear has on you. Think of it like a vaccine. A vaccine gives you a tiny, harmless dose of a virus so your body learns to fight the real thing. This practice gives your mind a tiny dose of loss so your emotions learn to handle the real thing. And the results aren't subtle. In one study, people who spent 2 weeks doing daily loss exercises saw their anxiety drop sharply. The control group? Almost no change. The people doing the exercises didn't become numb. They became steady. When real stress hit, their bodies produced less cortisol, the chemical your body pumps out when you're under threat. So the obvious pushback is this. Isn't this just worry dressed up in a toga? You sit around picturing terrible things, and somehow that's supposed to help? Fair question, and it's not wrong to be careful. There's real research showing that for some people, especially those dealing with trauma or deep anxiety, death reminders can backfire. They can trigger defensive reactions. Anger, a clinging to rigid beliefs. The practice isn't a blanket cure. It needs a frame. It needs structure. Without guidance, it can slide from reflection into spiral. But here's the catch. That backfire happens mostly when the reminder is forced, sudden, and without context. A car crash on the news, a diagnosis in a cold office, those are ambushes. What the Stoics proposed, and what modern research supports, is something gentler. A chosen moment. A daily pause. You're in control of the dose. And when you are in control, something else happens beyond just feeling calm. Your choices get faster. Not all choices. Not what to eat for lunch, but the ones that matter. The hard ones. Should you call your father? Should you quit the job that's draining you? Should you say the thing you've been holding back for months? People given a brief death reminder made meaningful choices faster than those who weren't. Not reckless. Faster. The fog of ne maybe later burned off. Because when you hold death in one hand, the weight of napaza, what if people judge me, gets very light in the other. And it's not just big choices that shift. The small annoyances shrink too. You're stuck in traffic. The car in front won't move. Someone cuts you off. You feel that hot flash of anger. Now layer in a single thought. I will not be here forever, and neither will they. Watch what happens to the anger. It doesn't vanish, but it thins. It loses its teeth. After 1 week of daily death reminders, people reported that everyday hassles, the traffic jams, the rude emails, the long lines, bothered them far less. Not because the hassles went away, because the hassles stopped feeling so big. Against the backdrop of your whole life, a slow driver is nothing. But without that backdrop, a slow driver is everything. The frame changes the picture. Now you might be thinking, this all sounds like something for monks or thinkers with time. People who sit on mountaintops, not people who have kids and deadlines and a broken dishwasher. But here's where it gets hands-on. Because the delivery system for this practice has changed. You don't need a mountaintop, you need a phone. Researchers tested a simple setup. 2 groups, both got daily reminders on their phones to complete a habit task. One group got a plain reminder, a bell, a text. The other group got a reminder with a skull icon, a small visual nudge. Remember, your time is limited. The skull group completed their tasks at a far higher rate. Same task, same people. The only difference was the shape of the nudge. Why? Because the skull didn't just say, I'ma do this. It said, I'd do this because you won't always get the chance. It added weight to the moment, not guilt. Weight. The kind of weight that makes a task feel like it matters instead of feeling like another box to check. But there's a question nobody talks about enough. Does this last? Or does the skull become wallpaper? Something you stop seeing after a week like every other alert on your phone? The honest answer, it does fade. Studies tracking habit tools over several months show that the edge of death-themed reminders dips over time. The first boost is strong, but eventually the gap narrows. The practice needs to evolve. New prompts, new angles. A journal entry 1 week, a card flip the next, a talk with a friend the week after. The format has to stay fresh, or the mind files it away as noise. And there's another twist. Paper beats screens. People who kept a physical journal with death-themed prompts held the habit at a much higher rate than people using only a digital app. Something about writing by hand, the slowness of it, the friction, keeps the reminder from becoming background noise. The phone delivers the nudge. The hand makes it stick. So we've moved from ancient thinking to modern phones, from anxiety studies to habit apps. But the most powerful version of this idea didn't come from a lab or an app store. It came from a parade. Rome. About 2,000 years ago, a general returns from war. He's won. The streets are packed. People are cheering. He stands in a golden chariot, draped in purple, crowned with laurel. This is the peak of a Roman life. Power, glory, the roar of a crowd that loves you. And behind him, in the chariot, stands a servant. This servant has one job. He leans forward and whispers into the general's ear, "God, remember, you are mortal. Not in a good job. Not aren't enjoy this you, the opposite. In the single greatest moment of a man's public life, someone is paid to remind him it will end. That the crowd will forget, that the laurel will wilt, that he too will be dust." Why would anyone want that? Because the Romans understood something we've mostly forgotten. Glory without humility is a trap. Success without awareness of its end becomes pride. And pride makes you blind. Blind to the people around you. Blind to the luck that got you here. Blind to the fact that this golden, roaring, perfect moment is borrowed. The servant wasn't cruel. He was a gift. A guardrail against the most dangerous kind of blindness. The kind that comes from winning. Now think about where we are today. Social media is one long triumph parade. Every post is a golden chariot. Every like is a cheering crowd. And there is no servant. Nobody leans in and whispers that this too will pass. So we mistake the likes for love, the followers for friends, the metrics for meaning. But here's where the cultural lens matters. This practice doesn't land the same way for everyone. In Western cultures, death reminders tend to push people towards self-growth. Be more, do more, achieve before the clock runs out. In East Asian studies, the same reminders push people toward community. Connect more, give more, belong before the clock runs out. Same nudge, different direction. The culture shapes what min-urgency means. So if you try this, know that your background will color the outcome. And that's not a flaw. It's a feature. The practice meets you where you are and sharpens what you already value. And this brings us to the part that might surprise you most. This isn't just about cutting worry or finishing tasks. There's a deeper shift happening. People who sit with death regularly become more giving. In studies where people were asked to split money with a stranger, those who had just been reminded of their own end gave away more. Not a little more, a lot more. Death didn't make them hoard. It made them share. It's as if the reminder says, you can't take it with you. So give it now while it means something, while you can see the face of the person who receives it. And the letters people write after a death reminder are different too, more raw. The words carry more weight because the writer knows, even for a moment, that words are finite, that this letter might be the one that matters. If any of this shifted how you think about your own daily worries, about the alerts and the to-do lists and the traffic, there's more on this channel that goes this deep. Leave a comment and tell me, what's one thing you've been putting off that you'd do today if you knew your time was short? I genuinely want to know. The parade is still going. The crowd is still cheering. But somewhere behind you, if you listen, there's a voice. Quiet, steady, not trying to ruin the moment, trying to make sure you actually feel it.